now. All right. So once again, Matt, myself, Ron, we're going to do some more figuring it out. Topic for this week is kind of worldwide pandemic, coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, and what we've seen in terms of what we're calling sort of predatory marketing. So I think with that topic kind of teed up, I think we saw this pretty quickly. And, I'm sure it's something that some people will have some input on, as we've heard it mentioned a few times. I know even internally there have been some things that we put on hold because I think the timing was just wrong, or just didn't come across appropriately for what was going on in the world. So I don't know. I mean, you kind of made the contention right off the bat that isn't all marketing predatory in some way. So I don't know if you have one as an example right off the bat that you think is good or bad, and kind of maybe how you took it or how you heard a client take it.
Yeah, I mean, are we naming names here? Are we
Oh, heck
doing
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're not
all
pulling any
right. Well,
punches.
I mean, yeah, and look, there's I'll reinforce, when we were talking in the green room beforehand. Yeah, look, all marketing, you're trying to draw attention to yourself. You got to make some claims. You got to stand out. You got to differentiate. Okay, I get it. But yeah, there's one that popped up recently from a company named Signet, and I have look, we're technically competition to some capacity. I'm not bringing that up to be too harsh, or it's just, when you see the coronavirus cyber effect with Signet 360, you go, what does coronavirus have to do with it? Now, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm the unsmart one here. And there's an element that they're tying into defending against a specific coronavirus themed cyber attacks. Okay, I mean, it just feels a bit much. So when I see something like that, I just scratch my head and I just wonder, who does that work on? And I think, I don't know. It's weird.
I've seen, the one that I think the first one that I saw that kind of popped out to me was Sentinel-1. So Sentinel-1 gave platform access to folks, with a caveat that it's going until the middle of May. So I'm like, okay, on one sense, it's like, if you need to be doing monitoring here, here's free access to our platform. However, it's going to end, and then what? So for me, like, realistically, would you dump a ton of time into, getting it implemented correctly? And in that short window of time, are you going to be able to, implement something correctly, number one? And then number two, I feel weird about those ones, because it's like, if you get stuff in there, then May 16th comes, or whatever their cutoff is. Well, then what happens?
Right.
Like, your stuff's all in there now. Oh my gosh, like, it's a great sales tactic, because now you're already in there. Like, you're already enjoying it. Like, we're just going to turn on, this is how much it's going to be. And to me, I'm like, that's the stuff that I think most consumers, most of the companies that we deal with, are at least, like, that's not how we want to pick a vendor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, part of me is very glad that we've done nothing like that, right? In a way. I'll say this though, I've seen good too, right? Like, and there's a couple of names that I saw, but a number of the vendors are saying like, hey, free for your home users now, or free for home use, or free for your remote workers for 6 months. There's some utility in that. I think the point still stands that whether it's May or 6 months from now, is that enough time to get it fully implemented? And side note that we don't need to tangent on right now is, but what's the risk in implementing all this new technology in a crisis, right? Is that the time to be dumping a ton of resources at new stuff that you're not familiar with? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't know. This doesn't sit right. Flip side, positive note, company like Psychotic, it wasn't predatory. They're offering some free online resources that are like awareness based, and like, hey, here's a free handbook on it. I don't know how useful the handbook is. We have no horse in the Psychotic race. We do no reselling, right? So this isn't like I'm not trying to pump up one vendor and put down another. It's just, you see, there's a way to do it, right? There's a nuance to this communication, and I think some people are just really missing it. And it's, again, I just wonder who it works on. with any of that.
Yeah, and I mean you're right. There's been some decent offers out there as well. I know Kaspersky had their own kind of offer out there for protection, and there have been a lot of those types of vendors that have kind of extended what they do to the consumer market, or really made themselves more applicable to folks who are now working from home. So kind of interesting in that regard. It's funny. I mean, not just on the technology side, but then to also look at the non-technology stuff and see what people are just piling on. In fact, like as we were sitting here, or as we were getting ready to start this recording, I actually got an email. And listen, I know that masks are of vital importance, and people want to be wearing their N95 masks or something to be able to protect themselves when they're out. But no lie, I got an email. It says, "Hi Ron, masks for your teams, question mark." And it basically is like a promotional company that is creating logo branded masks to be sent
Oh,
out to team members. And
oh,
I look at that stuff, I'm like,
oof. I'm
what?
gonna regret
Like,
that in 6 months.
yeah, I'm like, that's just like, you're going too far with that type of stuff. So I've gotten a few of them too. I mean, I think between that one, I mean, that one's pretty bad. Like, I seriously just got this like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, actually. The one that made me cringe the most was one for life insurance. It was like a hard sell for life
Oh
insurance.
no.
And it was like, in these uncertain times, make sure your loved ones are taken care of. And I'm like, holy cows, like, you guys are going right for it. So I don't think it's been that extreme in cybersecurity, but there's still some questionable, they're borderline questionable in terms of how they set themselves up and really leaning on that FUD.
Yeah, and again, look, you got to stand out. You got to have a catchphrase. I am not a marketing guy by training, but we kind of are in that business, right? We want to make sure we're putting the right foot forward. But I mean, I think the phrase that we chatted about is like, it's like art. You know it when you see it. If we had to define the qualities of just normal marketing and predatory marketing, a lot of the qualities would be the same. But I think it's kind of the lengths to which this predatory stuff goes, where your commitments are just so grandiose that they can't possibly match with reality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether it was out at RSA and what we saw, or whether it's something we're seeing in the email 10 minutes ago, it's either poor timing, poor taste, grandiose, doesn't realize that, or takes itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, again, I'm just very
What
glad
was
we
the
have
one
no
at
part of that.
RSA? What was the claim on that one? It was
That
like,
one was dirty.
it was,
I feel I walked by and it was like a subway or a bus stop, and it was like let me see if I think I took a picture of it. It was, yeah, detect or react or predict and prevent. And like, and that was, wait, who's it by? We'll get Deep Instinct. Okay. I got, you know, and then like the subtag is other security solutions require the breach to enter your infrastructure. Ours provides impenetrable fortification. Now,
okay.
that's some good. Someone had the thesaurus open in marketing when they were putting that together,
Yeah.
but detect or react or predict and prevent. And I just, again, it's so grandiose that anyone that's ever done any of this, whether you're offense, defense, you've been in industry, you've been a consultant, or you've been a vendor like BTB,
Yeah.
how can you look at that, ever having done any of it, and go like, ooh,
We're going to
that one
predict
just
and
struck
prevent.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy, right? The
Well,
NSA, who is some of the brightest minds in the world, they can't figure out how to predict and prevent, or they have, and they're preventing
yeah.
everything.
Maybe it's not so much that I mean, the pandemic has definitely brought some things out for folks, but maybe it's always been there in this industry. It's just brought to light a little bit more during this time. I don't know, but I think it seems to be happening less now, but in the initial weeks when it was all hitting the United States, it was a little bit much. I think everybody was a little bit, everybody was worried about their health, and here we have marketing folks kind of pumping up all these different tactics or ways to do things. So it's an interesting time indeed.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to solve it through our discussion here, but maybe again, the 5 people that watch this will like now look at an ad a bit more side eye. And
Or
here's what I'd say, right? Not just vote with your dollar, because that's what we do anyway. And dollars are in short supply right now. But that's the kind of thing that like communicate to your vendors, including BTB, right? Like give pushback.
yeah,
If you don't like our message, BTB or anybody, or it strikes you as predatory or
call them out
inappropriate,
on it.
call it out. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
call us out.
Absolutely. I would love to see feedback on ones that are even more obscene or just completely absurd. But that's just me. I like seeing that stuff. I think it's like a human psychology thing where you can't look away from the train wreck that people are kind of putting out there with their marketing sometimes.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
I don't know. Thank you very much. It was
Yes,
again
sir.
another fine 10 minutes of trying to figure it out. Although I don't know that we really actually figured anything out other than
We
calling a few people
complained.
out on some of these. Yeah, it was more of a complaint than a figuring of anything. So thanks for the time, Matthew,
Yes, sir. Thank
and
you.
we'll catch up later.
Take
Bye.
care.